Yes. So we had stopped at the stage in our previous class, is it not? What is the mean free path of gas molecules? And to help our understanding, I had given you to help your understanding. I had given an example: a bouncing ball in a box. So a ball hits the walls of the box as well as it travels within the box. So if you take all the length it has traveled within the box without hitting, that means the length between two hittings, and take all such lengths, take an average of that, that gives you the mean free path. This is what we had discussed. So now we will extend this concept to our gas molecules. In fact, uh, collisions of course happen within gas molecules. Now what is collision? We have to define this. Like we have a perception of collision, right? When someone hits you, you tell that he has collided with me, or maybe you see two vehicles crashing into each other, we call there is a collision of the vehicles. So basically collision, what is the perception we have? That the physical contact is there between two objects. When such a physical contact is there, we call it a collision. And particularly if the objects are fast moving and then come into contact, uh, collision of course takes place. But how do we define collision in gas molecules? This is the question. Now, the physical contact term which we apply in the real life objects is not so much uh, evident and so much measurable or so much clear. The concept is not so much clear. Physical contact concept is not clear in terms of gas molecules. Why? Because you cannot imagine two gaseous molecules touching and pushing into each other, right? That will not happen, because you know any molecule has an outer shell of electrons. So two molecules with coming with outer shell of electrons, they repel and bounce back, so and get deflected. So what's the point now? The concept of collision itself we have to underline, in the sense we have to define this term collision. What is collision according to us? When do we call collision has happened between two gas molecules? Example, when do we call? What is the criteria to tell that collision has happened? So if you look at this picture, you see the molecules are in random motion, and they are colliding with the walls of the jar as well as with each other. The random movement is there. But uh, this is important. Definition of collision is very important. Please remember, we call that collision has taken place, or we identify a collision when the distance between two molecules should either be less or equal to the sum of the respective radii. So molecule A has radii, for example x, and when we are talking about same molecules in a gas sample, the other molecule A also has a radius of x. So when do we call these two molecules, two A plus A are colliding? When the distance between these two molecules is equal to or lesser than 2x. And what is x? Atomic radius or atomic radius. That's what. That is how a collision is defined. So anything or any interaction which is happening in distance larger than this 2x, we won't call that a collision. Fine. So this is very important. Collision definition is important. We tell that two molecules have collided only when their distance between them has come below the sum of their atomic radii, or at least equal to the sum of their atomic radius. That's the point. That is how we define the collision. Now, well, that's the fine. That's collision. But a single gas molecule, how many collisions it is undergoing? Lot of collisions it's undergoing. Now, if you look into the collisions of all molecules or all gaseous atoms in the sample and fix some time for this. In 1 minute, how many collisions are happening? Example, in 1 second, how many collisions are happening? So this number of collisions, if you divide by time or number of collisions taking place within an unit time, is called collision frequency. Fine. So in other sense, you can also call this as rate of collision. Right? So when is this term rate used? When any quantity is divided by time, we call that is rate. Is it not? So that's the rate of collision. For example, rate of chemical reaction. It is basically with respect to time. So collision frequency is defined like this: average number of collisions happening per unit time in a defined system. The defined system is you have to specify the other parameters of the system. For example, what is the number of moles of gas? What is the gas itself? What is the pressure of the gas? So that is called defining a system. So when we have defined the systems adequately, sufficiently, and then check how many collisions are happening per second, for example, or how many collisions are happening per minute, the answer will give you collision frequency. Now, why is this collision frequency important to us? This is important because we will see later at the end of the class that the mean free path of the gas molecules, what we were defining, is actually dependent on collision frequency. It is very straightforward, right? Because when lot of collision, the instances of collisions is more. In the sense the collision frequency is more, the mean free path is shorter. So collision frequency and mean free path are inversely proportional. Anyways, so let us give a formula for finding out this collision frequency. Like I told, collision frequency is number of collisions per unit time. But how to calculate this number of collisions? Can we visualize every collision and keep track of it? No, not possible. So this collision frequency has to be calculated from other quantities of the gas. So how do we do that? What is the formula to calculate collision frequency? Now, let us consider a model, simplified model to calculate this collision frequency. Now let us consider there are a number of molecules in a sample, in gaseous sample, and you are taking a small volume in the sample, a space you have defined with a small volume, and for easier understanding sake, the volume I have kept cylindrical. Fine, you can take any shape of the volume, it can be spherical, whatever, but for our understanding sake I have kept it as cylindrical. There are there are too many molecules here, right? Can you see that all these molecules are hard spheres which I have represented as molecules? One is miss, one is hit. What do we mean by miss and hit? Now what is the diameter of this cylinder? This is very important. The diameter of the cylinder is equal to 2 times atomic radius of the gas. That means, can you see a gas molecule here? What is its atomic radius? Let us call it as R. Atomic radius is R. So the diameter of the cylinder is 2R. Fine. Now, since the diameter is 2R, please follow here carefully. I'm telling you how to label a collision, how to pinpoint a collision. So if the molecules come into this cylinder, if there are 2 molecules within this cylinder, let us consider like this. If there are 2 molecules within this cylinder, their diameter of this, the atomic radius 2R is the diameter of the cylinder. Therefore, of course, we can call collision takes place. when collision takes place, if the molecule comes, another molecule comes within this cylinder, and of course, we are not considering the length here. We are just taking one slice of the cylinder, example, one slice of a cylinder, and two molecules are there within the slice of the cylinder, within the diameter circumference of a cylinder, example, cross section of a cylinder, then collision takes place. That's the definition of the collision, right? Collision means two molecules should come closer or equal to the distance of their sum of atomic radius. So collision takes place. Now, a molecule here and the molecule of our interest, they are not colliding, of course, because the distance is too much. Can this molecule collide with this? Of course, it can collide, provided the molecule here comes here. So, of course, before that, let us simplify this model a bit. Let us consider all these molecules are frozen, all these atoms are frozen. Only the atom moving is this one. Our interest, our choice atom. Our atom of our interest is moving. Only atom moving in this whole gaseous sample is this. So what happens? As it moves from one end of the cylinder to the other, it encounters molecules. When can you call that the molecule, the atom has collided with these atoms? If it encounters an atom within the cylinder. If the atoms are outside the cylinder, definitely there is no collision, because the diameter of the cylinder you have fixed as 2r. Therefore, as the molecule moves in a straight line, it can, I'm not telling always, it can or it may not encounter molecules. And then we call, when it encounters molecules, we call the collision has taken place. Okay. So what is the significance of keeping the diameter of the cylinder equal to 2r? The significance is this: if you find one molecule somewhere inside the cylinder, you can call the collision has taken place. One collision has taken place. If you find one more molecule inside, two collisions have taken place. The other molecule inside, three collisions have taken place. So now that's the point. But what is the assumption we have made? Only our molecule of atom of choice is moving. All the other atoms are frozen. But actually that's not the case, right? All atoms are moving. You cannot freeze all atoms except one. Impossible. You cannot halt the translation motion of gaseous molecules. Impossible. But let us consider for our understanding sake, when we derive some equations, we starting point is some basic assumptions which make our derivation easier, right? And then later we relax those assumptions and give corrections to our equation to fit the equation into real scenarios. Is it not? Okay, fine. Now for this model, what is the collision frequency? The collision frequency is, the formula is simply given by square root of 2 pi d square into, what is this? C, average velocity of the gas. Okay, so collision frequency and the velocity of the gas are related. And how do you find out the velocity? From your Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. Fine. So this Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law is a common string which is coming into all our discussions always. So n divided by v. What is n? Number of molecules in the gaseous sample, and v is the volume of the cylinder. Now what is the volume of the cylinder? For example, the volume of the cylinder is pi d square into length of the cylinder, right? Pi d square into length of the cylinder. That's the volume of the cylinder. Okay. So what is the collision frequency when all molecules are moving? This is the equation with an assumption that only one molecule is moving. All other molecules are halted. When you remove that assumption, when all molecules are moving, Zii, can I see small Zii? Only when one I is there, Z is collision frequency for only one molecule moving. And capital Z small I, double I, is for collision frequency formula when all molecules are in movement or in motion. It is half into Zi, whatever you have calculated here, into N by V. So you substitute the value of Zi in this place. You get the final equation for collision frequency as square root of 2 pi d square into average velocity of gas N by V square. So this is the final formula for finding out collision frequency of molecules in a gaseous atom. Of course, we should have derived this, but we did not derive because that your blow up doesn't specify derivation is required. So I just given you the equation directly. Now, please remember this collision frequency term. We will use it later in our discussion. Now come back to our main concept of discussion. Mean free path of the gas molecules. Gas molecules are there. It's the picture. Now, you can see there are a lot of molecules in your sample. And if our target molecule has to move in a straight line like this, there is always a chance that some other molecules come in the straight line within a distance of 2r. So when they come within a distance of 2r, we call a collision has taken place. Now for our molecule, it may collide with one molecule and keep on moving. So you take the length between every collision. Take an average, that gives you mean free path. But as I told you, this has to be calculated from some other quantities of the gas molecules. Anyways, you see here, what is the picture within the gas, that the separation of the gas molecule space inside within the in between gas molecules. This is the size of an atom. Example is about 0.3 nanometers. Yeah, generally average size of an atom is 0.3 nanometers. But usually a separation between two atoms is 3.3 nanometers. So why did I give this? Because when the average separation is 3.3 nanometers, there is no collision, of course. When can you call there is a collision? When the distance between these two atoms is equal to 0.3 nanometers, because this atomic diameter is 0.3 nanometers. So radius will be 0.15. 0.15 plus 1.15, so 2r. So if the separation 3.3 nanometer is not a collision, you go on decreasing the separation, and the other atom comes within a distance equal to 0.3 nanometers. Then we call collision has taken place. That's all. When it comes within a distance 0.3 nanometers, collision has taken place. We don't look for further interaction at all. The collision definition is only by the distance separating the two atoms. So now let us do a small calculation to find out the formula for the mean free path of the gaseous molecules. The same assumption we have made. Taken two atoms whose diameter is d, and now when the collision happens, when these two atoms come within a distance of d. So this is the area of collision. Basically, you have an atom at its center. If any other atom comes in this area, we call collision between them. This is the area of collision. Now consider a small volume within the gaseous sample, and the molecule is moving along this path. And there are molecules here, right? There are atoms inside the cylinder. So definitely the atom of our choice interest collides with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 atoms. So 8 will be the number of collisions. But how much time it takes for this collision depends on the speed, right? If it is moving very fast, it collides within almost no time. But if it is moving slowly, it collides slowly also. Anyways, so what is the length of this cylinder basically? And please remember now, this length of the cylinder we should not take as a length of a geometrical shape. Rather, the length has to be defined using properties of gas molecules. Okay, fine. So generally, what is speed? Speed is equal to distance traveled by time taken. So if you know the distance traveled and if you know the time, length can be calculated, right? If you know two terms, the other term can be calculated. So if you know the velocity of the gas and time taken for the gas molecules from one end of the cylinder to other end, so let us call that to be T. So what is the length of this cylinder? Is speed into T, is it not? So speed into T. Now, so the volume of the cylinder now. What is the total volume of the cylinder? Pi d square. Volume of any cylinder, even a geometrical shaped cylinder, is what? Area into length. So what's the area of the cylinder? Pi d square. What is d? Diameter of an atom. Pi d square into length. That's the volume of the cylinder. The mean free path is defined like this. Distance traveled by the atoms divided by volume of interaction and number of molecules per unit volume. Fine. So what is the distance traveled in a time t? Speed into t. That is what I have written here. What is the volume of the cylinder? That cylinder is what? Is an imaginary cylinder, is nothing but a space where interaction, collision is taking place. So it is pi d square into length. So pi d square, speed into t. What is the number of molecules? Let us call that Np. But you know, number of molecules is of course a term which you can calculate if you know the number of moles of the gas you have taken. Is it not? Fine. So mean free path simplifies like this. You can cancel these two terms. What are the things remaining? 1 divided by pi d square Nv. So that's the mean free path. 1 divided by pi d square Nv. Mean free path. But again, here the assumption is only one molecule is moving, the rest are frozen. If you remove this assumption, then we have to give this correction of speed is equal to square root on to speed of a molecule. Okay, average velocity is equal to square root 2 into velocity of one molecule. So therefore, your velocity here is square root 2 into v. So put that here. The volume now becomes pi d square square root 2 v. Is it not? So that square root 2 terms remains because only vt cancel, square root 2 term remains when all molecules are set into motion. And finally, the resulting mean free path is equal to 1 divided by square root 2 pi d square nv. Of course, I have given you two formula, right? Pi mean free path is equal to 1 divided by pi d square nv, only pi d square nv. And the other is 1 divided by square root of pi d square n. What is the difference? If there is no square root in the denominator, it means an hypothetical situation where only one molecule is moving within the cylinder of our interest. When all molecules are set into motion, random motion, then you have to give a correction factor of square root 2. But somebody can ask why this, how to calculate this NV, number of molecules. Number of molecules is what? Number of molecules is always Avogadro number into number of moles. Is it not? So that is what I have taken, number of molecules into Avogadro, number of moles. Small n is number of moles. For example, you have 1 mole of the gas here. What is the number of molecules in 1 mole of gas? 6.023 into 10 to the power of 23. If you have 0.1 mole of gas, what is the total number of molecules? 6.023 into 10 to the power of 23 into 0.1. If you have 10 moles, 6.023 into 10 to the power of 23 into 10. So always Avogadro number multiplied by the number of moles will give you the actual total number of molecules in the gas sample. Is it not? So divided by V, that's the volume of the gas sample. How to calculate the volume? You have ideal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT. So Do it. nRT divided by P. Nn cancels. The same terms, number of moles, number of terms. What is the thing remaining now? Na into P divided by RT. So substitute Na into P divided by RT. Na is Avogadro number into pressure of the gas divided by real gas constant into temperature. Replace this Nv, number of moles, number of molecules with this, and your mean free path final equation becomes RT divided by square root of 2 pi d square Na into P. So what's the point here? Just by knowing other parameters like RT, pressure of the gas, and number of molecules, you can calculate mean free path. So R is a constant. T is can be kept same for different gas molecules. P can also be kept same for different molecules. So for example, I take oxygen and I take nitrogen and hydrogen. All three gases are maintained at same temperature and same pressure. Do you get the same mean free path? No. Why? What is the variable here? D. What is D? Diameter of the atoms. So smaller the diameter, for example, like hydrogen, larger will be mean free path. And it is squared in the denominator. So much more larger. And bigger the atoms, so denominator goes down, mean free path value increases. So that's what mean free path decreases in that case. So basically the diameter of the atom or the size of the atom, simply diameter means size of the atoms, size and mean free path are inversely proportional. This is the only variable. All other things you can maintain constant for different samples of the gas. Therefore the equation to find out mean free path is this: RT divided by square root 2 pi d square into Avogadro number into pressure of the gas. Fine. So I'll just stop here. You can